And we're live from the living room as Doug eyes up the matchday spread. He's reaching for the buffalo wing. Perfect! Hang on, what's this? Oh, he's gone for a can of Pepsi too! Incredible! What a finish! Sensational combination! Look at the delight on his face. There's no doubt about it. It just tastes better. Match days deserve Pepsi. Food deserves Pepsi. Grab a pack of Pepsi Zero Sugar for today's match. It's poetry in motion.
We gather here tonight to bring women back to their rightful place.
The Testaments, a new Hulu original series from the executive producers of The Handmaid's Tale.
It's easier to accept a story than believe that the people around you are monsters.
The battle isn't over.
There comes a time when you have to take action, when you have to choose your own destiny.
Never quite as it seems.
Watch the new Hulu original series, The Testaments, streaming on Hulu and Hulu on Disney Plus for bundle subscribers. Terms apply.
I am well known for my discovery of a new field of chemistry, that is the geopolymer chemistry, which means that we are capable of reproducing in our lab a lot of stone artifacts, a lot of stony material that are practically identical to what Mother Nature is doing. So, and this is this knowledge that I am using in order to explain archaeology that, from my point of view, the ancient people had this knowledge. If you go back to something that is absolutely not well understood, namely alchemy. Alchemy is the science of the minerals. What I have discovered in the lab is that we are practically doing modern alchemy. So we are replicating stones, we are letting minerals to react between each others by adding some chemicals and understanding the chemistry. And this is this science that, as I discovered in the years 1970s first, and then because at that time I was also very curious about ancient civilization, reading a lot of books. You maybe remember, no, you are too young. It was the era of Van Deniken and so forth.
Yeah.
And so I read all these books. I understood their questions, but I thought that their answers were wrong. So, and I started to transfer the new knowledge that we had in the lab in order to bring some answers to these issues. And this is how it happened. It happened in 1974, that is 35, 36 years ago. And I started from scratch, from zero on that topic. And also it was at the same time that I also started the science of geopolymer chemistry. And today, 35 years ago, I may claim that I am a well-known scientist for the discovery of the geopolymer chemistry. We have practically more than 400 laboratories in the world working on the subject, and very famous one working with me, with us on that topic, that is exactly dealing with problems that are really modern, sustainable technology, global warming mitigations, high temperature materials, and so forth and so forth. So this is just to show you that when I try to focus on a subject, I go very deep in the search as a scientist. And when I claim something, usually it is based on real hard proofs, or if not 100% proof, but sometimes 95 or 96 or 97% truth. And these are the 3% that are always discussed. And this is the controversy is always now today based on the lack of some knowledge that we have always to bring to light with further studies. So this has been a brief introduction of who I am, and I'm so a scientist, and it happens that I am also a member of the International Associations of Egyptologists, which means that I am presenting my work at Egyptologists conference, like any Egyptologists are doing it. And my first conference on the topic of the possibility of making artificial stones in Egypt was presented in 1979. That is 32 years ago in Grenoble, in France. And this was 1979, 7 years after I started the research on the development of this new geopolymer technology in the laboratory. I presented 2 papers at this conference, one on the idea that the ancient Egyptians had all the knowledge in order to manufacture all kinds of stone artifacts, namely those that are very ancient and are really, really strange, these stone vessels. When you go to the British Museum, when you go to all the museums in the world, you see that the ancient Egyptians, from the first dynasty, from the second dynasty, that is 500 years or 1,000 years before the pyramids were built, according to Egyptologists, were capable of mastering the making of vessels made out of hard, super hard stones. And for me, and from the beginning, I tried to demonstrate that these stones that look exactly like regular ceramic stones, vessels made out of clay, were in fact made out of another material. Instead of taking clay, they took stone paste and made their vessels in that way. But to do this, you need the knowledge. That is the chemistry, that is alchemy, that is the reaction between the minerals. And this is what I presented at this Congress in Grenoble in 1979 with my colleagues. I had 200 people listening to my paper. They said, well, you are right. They had the knowledge. And maybe this is how it had been done. And then the next paper, 1 day later, was on the pyramid. I said, look, because they had this knowledge, in my opinion, they used it in order to make the stones, building stones. They said, no, this is impossible. And since that date, they said, no, it is impossible, period. So you understand? I started to get the first samples. I had an official sample in 1980-81. We made our analysis. We claimed that this sample, only one, was artificial. It was a casing stone that has been taken from the interior of the Cheops pyramid in the ascending passageway just before entering in the Grand Gallery. The stones of this passageway are coated with a coating that had a red paint on it. I presented the results at the next at the next International Congress of Egyptology in Toronto, Canada, in 1982. Well, they said, no, impossible. Then in Cairo, 1988, at the congresses that we had there, I presented my first study on hieroglyphic texts. Then if the technology was used. It must have been written 1988. And the same year, I published my first book in New York, The Pyramids: An Enigma Solved. And this was the starting of the big controversy and the big attack by the opponents. I stopped any connection to Egyptology in 1990. I didn't want to enter into any polemical discussions. The people were really nasty. They really insulted me, some Egyptologists, a lot of geologists, and so forth. I said to myself, stop, wait until you get more knowledge. And I resumed this work in 2002, that is 12 years later. 12 years later, we were capable of manufacturing what I call genuine Egyptian stone. In our lab in Saint-Quentin, north of Paris, we manufactured 15 tons of stone. When I am doing something, we do not use a small scale model in order to explain something. We do not use a three-dimensional computer programs that do not demonstrate anything. We replicate it, and we replicate it in a big scale. Yeah. This is the only way to prove that you are right. So we started first in the lab, and then we have done 6 huge stone, and this is how I resumed my study on the pyramids. And now it is clear that it has been done in that way. And since that date, we have more and more support from my scientific colleagues of a big institution in the world. And this is where we are now. Okay. First, they have to go to our website, to the Institute, the Geopolymer Institute website at geopolymer.org. There are several pages dedicated to the pyramids, to the making of the pyramids, and we have several videos. Videos that replicate our experimentation, so they will have the demonstration in front of them. When I started, and this is what you said at the beginning of our talk, you talked about casting the pyramid. We are not casting. At the beginning, I thought that we were dealing with a liquid system, liquid stone that was poured into a mold. This is no longer what I am claiming. We are dealing with concrete, an aggregate paste that we are pounding with a rammer, like doing earth blocks like Pisa. So it is a material that is not liquid. It is a material that is like wet sand. Okay, so one has to manufacture it first. So we take the limestone, the first natural ingredient. The stones of the pyramid are made of limestone, but they are not made out of a very beautiful limestone. It is concrete and aggregation of fossil shells that are called nummulites. These are shells that have the shapes of coins. And this is the nature of the pyramid limestone. The limestone bed are made out of this type of limestone. And it happens that at Giza, we have 2 types of limestone beds. One that is constituted with a very hard limestone, and in between, sandwiched, a limestone bed that is very weak and contains clay. And this is, in fact, the layer through which the Sphinx has been cut. And you know that the Sphinx is deteriorating. It is made out of a very poor limestone. At least had to be protected because it is a weak limestone that erode very, very rapidly. Imagine if we would have in Egypt the same rain that we have in Europe, the Sphinx would no longer be there.
That's right.
You understand?
Yep.
And this is this raw material. This is this limestone that is the basic of the making of the pyramid blocks. And this is this limestone that has been exploited. This is where the quarries are. So we take a very weak natural limestone that is made of fossil shells and a little percent of clay. And this is a very friable and a very material that is sensitive to water. This limestone is disaggregated in water, that is chipped in the quarries and thrown down in water ponds that are underneath, that are at the levels of the quarries. It happens that the quarries are at the same level as the Nile flood, which means the water is coming from the Nile and kept there for the manufacture of the stone. So we have a weak natural limestone, very easy to be disaggregated in water. We don't crush it, we disaggregate in water. We add to that the chemicals. Without chemicals, it doesn't work. And the chemicals that we add to this is first a salt that is called natron. Salt natron, that is sodium carbonate. And the salt natron, it is the basis of the entire Egyptian civilization. You'll find millions of tons of natron scattered all over Egypt, and it is the salt that is used for the mummification. It is the basement of the Egyptian religion. The natron, sodium carbonate, added to another chemical that is normally lime, that is you take limestone and you burn, calcine it, and you transform it into lime, and it reacts, and you invent the oldest chemical reaction invented by mankind, that is the production of caustic soda that will start the reaction. So it is something very, very easy to start with, provided you have the material, provided you have the chemistry, provided you have the chemicals. And the Egyptians had them at their disposal in millions of tons. So you put the chemicals in the water with the limestone that is disaggregated and let the water evaporate. After 2 days in Egypt, the water is evaporating and you get wet sand, wet aggregates that you put in a basket and you bring up to the pyramid site and put it in a mold and compress it with a rammer. Rammer, that is, the molds are made out of small planks. Each stone that has been previously made is the mold for the new one, and so forth and so forth. And you get, and this is what we have replicated, and you get the material that is a limestone that contains 97% of natural element, 97%, to which we have added another natural element, which is a natural salt, natron, sodium carbonate, and the artificial one, that is the calcined limestone, which represent 1.5% by weight. That is nothing. That is what you have with you is a genuine limestone block. And you understand?
Yeah.
If you don't know the chemistry, that you will claim that it is a natural stone. This is obvious. then what you'll have in front of you are natural elements. I must tell you that at the beginning, people were really crazy. The opponents, they said, this is a natural stone. The proof is that it is made out of fossil shells. As they claim that I was claiming that we were replicating in our lab the synthesis of fossil shells. They did not understood that we were taking natural limestone, natural fossil shells, and using them as aggregates. And we were just reagglomerating them by just adding and compacting them together in order to achieve a new stable and hard material. And the material is really hard. It can support 3 times the height of the Cheops pyramid.
Study and play come together on a Windows 11 PC. And for a limited time, college students get the best of both worlds. Get the Unreal College Deal. Everything you need to study and play with select Windows 11 PCs. Eligible students get a year of Microsoft 365 Premium and a year of Xbox Game Pass Ultimate with a custom color Xbox wireless controller. Learn more at windows.com/student offer. While supplies last. Ends June 30th. Terms at aka.ms/collegepc.
This episode is brought to you by Fox One. Watch all 104 matches of the FIFA World Cup live in 4K for just $19.99 a month with 3 days free. Build your own multi-view, choose up to 3 streams, and follow player spotlights. Stay on top of every moment with live stats, highlights, and instant replays. The FIFA World Cup, streaming live on Fox One. Offers are subject to change. See fox.com for complete terms and conditions.
No. Okay.
Because what I told about previously, I was talking about the massive. We are dealing with the mass. These are on blocks that are very crude blocks. This is the 2 million blocks that are constituting the Cheops and the Chifren and all the big pyramids are only there in order to feel something. Their duty is to resist to compression.
Okay, yeah.
They don't have any other function. The casing stones are different. The casing stones were there in order to protect the monument. So they are made out of a better system that has better property. From a civil engineering point of view, this is something that is as good or better than our modern cement. Or modern concrete, you understand?
Yeah.
And the casing stones are made out of very fine, it is always limestone, no marble, no alabaster, no, and so forth. It is limestone that is made out of very fine shells, fossil shells that have, instead in the blocks, they may have dimensions in the range of 1 centimeter to 5 centimeter in diameter. So these are big shells for the massive blocks, whereas for the casing stones, they are in the millimeter range. But it is the same limestone, and the difference is that the binder that is constituting, that is bringing the strength to this casing stone is made out of a different mineral that is silicate. Instead of clay, it is a silicate base, which gives it higher strength. It needs weathering, must withstand against weathering, and these stones must also inside have higher flexural strength. So we are dealing with different type of stones that have been done differently with different systems, implying different chemistry, and they had also a different purpose.
I see.
We are talking about limestone. We are not talking about granite.
That's right.
So the granite, just here at the beginning, for me, the granite that we find in the king chambers of the Cheops pyramid, the granite that we find as the casing of the Chilfren pyramid, the granite that we find as the casing of the Mykonos pyramid, and the granites that we find down the causeway of Chilfren in the Chilfren temple is natural granite. For me, it is clear. There is no these. We have the exception of these stones. These granites are natural blocks that had to be brought from the southern part of Egypt, and the matter is to understand why and how. But we are witnessing two different types of technology. The one that is the reagglomeration, the making of fake stones. You know, my last book is titled Why the Pharaohs Built Their Pyramids with Fake Stones.
That's right.
And whereas you'll see in several chapters in this book that I'm stating that for me the granite slabs are split granite, natural granite.
Very.
It's just yes, because I have to stress this, because a lot of people are either telling, look, the granite is natural. This is the proof that Davidovich is wrong, because he is also claiming that the granite is artificial. This is not, I never claimed it.
Yeah.
And second, we are not capable of doing it in our lab. I will disappoint you. I don't know. I'm a chemist. I'm dealing with the material.
Yeah.
I don't want to be trapped in discussing how it has been built.
Right.
Then there are so many ways to do it. I guess for me, it started from the center, and then it's increased and increased, and from in the breadth and in the height and so forth. But I don't want to be. I am not an architect. Architects that are working on the subject have the idea. We need ramps inside. We have to go inside. We have to go out, and so forth. So it is connected with a severe civil engineering knowledge anyway. So please, I don't want to tackle this issue. I'm not a specialist in that system, and I don't want to be trapped in one idea, which is not, in fact, my field of expertise.
Obviously, then, from your point of view, this would make more sense.
So, do you understand?
Oh yeah.
No, there are several claims of that type.
Yeah.
First, they find fossils. Well, this is the characteristic of the limestone, of the Eocene limestone that is constituting the Giza Plateau, that, according to science and geology, is 60 million years old. So yes, for 60 million years, the plateau was underwater, and the fossil shells were gently settling down, and so forth.
Yeah.
So this is correct, but not 10,000 or 12,000 years ago. The second argument that they are opposing is the fact that one find also at on the stones some salts that are sea salts. Okay.
Yeah.
And the claim, yes, this is the proof that they have been underwater. The problem is the following: the salts that we have in the stones is in fact the results of the chemistry. So we are manufacturing common salt, sodium chloride, sea salt, during the hardening of the stone. And the quantity of stone of this sea salt that is constituting the stones is very high, sometimes up to 2.5% by weight, whereas in the natural bedrocks, the content of these sea salts of sodium chloride is not higher than 0.4%. So, and this is the result of our chemistry. the chemistry described on the website, and you see how the salt, sodium chloride, is the result of one of the reaction. The problem is that the chemistry is providing natural elements that can be claimed to be natural by people who don't understand the chemistry.
Interesting. In terms of the dating problem, I mean, I heard you said 12 or 10,000 years ago. Have you been able to confirm in terms of dating anything closer because of the way that these stones then were put together with this particular technique, Joseph?
No, I know this is a matter of discussion. We have not been involved in datation so far. They could be, provided we have the permission to sample the system. Since 1984, when I was a professor at the Institute of Applied Archaeological Science that I had founded at Barry University in Miami, Florida, I officially requested from the Egyptian antiquities the permission to sample the stones in order to really first make scientific analysis about their constitutions and invent new datation methods. This has been declined, rejected. By whom? By Zayawas. At that time, he was the inspector of the Giza Plateau. At the same time, he was doing his PhD at the Philadelphia, Pennsylvania University in Philadelphia. But my request was rejected. And since that date, Zayawas is against any, was against, is no longer in charge, is against any sampling of the pyramids for that purpose. I have several teams of colleagues who started research with geologists, hoping to get permission to sample the stones, the pyramid stones, and did not have one. Remember, you had an interview with Robert Temple with his datation technique. He claimed at the beginning that he had the permission to sample the pyramid stone, and this had been on the side declined. So this is a situation that a lot of people are facing. Anything that is going against the official, what I say, the
airy version of, yeah.
No, it's more than that. This is the official statement of the Egyptian Ministry of Tourism.
Right.
Is declined. In fact, they fear that if what we are claiming is the truth, then the tourists will no longer come to Egypt because they want to look at something unexplainable, marvelous, and so on, esoteric, and so forth, which is wrong, since in fact we demonstrate that these people were smart, that they were capable of achieving things that we have just rediscovered now. No, he has dismissed on the 6th of March officially.
Really?
He's no longer in charge. Yes,
Wow.
yes.
There you go. Do you see that as a positive sign, or is it going to get worse down there? What do you think?
I don't know. Wait and see.
Okay. Yeah. We'll see. Huh? There's obviously a number of other things that we need to talk about and go through, and maybe a little bit later we can talk about maybe if there's other monuments, as you mentioned, that were put together in this same veneer and so forth, in this same with the same technique. But the humidity inside the pyramids, I know that you've talked about that. It was that's also an aspect, yes, I guess, to your proof, right?
Yes. The fact is that this is the first thing that you experienced when you go inside, is the fact that it is damp there. It is very humid. People are telling, well, this is the fact that a lot of people are coming inside. Now, no, because in the pyramids where nobody is going in, it has the same amount of humidity inside. You must understand that when the stones are, when the material is rammed, it is wet. It contains 9 to 10 to 12% by weight of water. and this water has no time to evaporate because it is surrounded by the other stones, and then it will be covered by other stones. So the water remains inside. And so the stones contains a lot of water. There has been a team 30 years ago, a team from an American team that scanned the different pyramids with their radars, trying to find hidden chambers, and they measured the humidity of the stones, and they found 8.59% of water in the pyramid stones, whereas the genuine limestone from the bedrock in the vicinity is contains 1 or 2% by weight maximum. So this is something that is very interesting. And another proof is the fact that, as I told you, we are producing, because of the chemistry, salt, sodium chloride.
Yeah.
And it is well known that all the chambers of the pyramids were covered with thick crystals of salt when they were first discovered. Now it is clear, now it is clean, but it is a 1-2 centimeter thick salt that was covering the chamber of the queen, not the granites, understand, that are naturals.
Yeah.
But all the others, I went in the pyramids of Meidum, in the chamber inside, you'll get a lot of salt crystals, and the salt is the result of the evaporation of the water in these chambers, because the stones are salty. And I want you, the listeners, if they have the possibilities to, when they travel to the Giza Plateau, to the Cheops Pyramid, to take a piece of a stone, even if it is a broken stone lying on the ground, but close to the Cheops Pyramid, put it on their tongue, and it is salty.
Interesting.
Okay?
Yeah.
And I got somebody crazy. They said, yes, it is obvious. It is salty because the limestone, the natural limestone, has been sedimented on the bottom of the sea. So these are crazy people that don't understand about just a simple way of the making of stones, and think because it was on the bottom of the sea, it is obvious that it contains salt.
Right.
You understand? Yes, you have tested a lot of limestones in your life, just for fun, maybe, and none are salty. Otherwise, all the buildings that we, in France, that are made out of stone, out of limestone, would be covered with a salty white powder.
Right.
This episode is brought to you by Google Chrome. You think you know a browser, but Gemini and Chrome? That's new. It can help you with practically anything on the web, like restoring a vintage motorcycle from a 50-page restoration blog, or finally break down that long article you've had open for weeks. Gemini and Chrome is here for it. Ready to make anything online make sense? There's no place like Chrome. Check responses, setup required, compatibility and availability varies, 18+.
You thought this was your Run Club era. Turns out, it was more of a thinking about Run Club era. The good news? Someone's marathon training is about to start. Sell your workout gear on Depop. Just snap a few photos, and we'll take care of the rest. They get their race day fit, and you get a payout for trying. Someone on Depop wants what you've got. Start selling now. Depop, where taste recognizes taste.
You said that the salt had been cleared. Now, is that through natural means, or has the people in
No. These are the Egyptian antiquities that cleared everything. That they took it out, they rubbed it out.
That's why, Joseph, then they discovered these salt.
And it explains also in the counterblick doors that the copper nails are corroded because of the salt.
Exactly. Interesting.
And since we are talking about the Candenbrink the shaft or the. You remember when you look at the videos, what you get, in fact, is the robot is going through, and he is inside a casing at a U shape, upside down, a U-shaped container that has absolutely no joint. It is something that is 10, 15, 30 meters long. That is one piece of precast limestone.
Mm-hmm.
This is clear. How can you do this? By digging through natural limestone.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
And it is very clear. The invention is the fact of one of the greatest Egyptian scientists, that is Imhotep, the builder of the first pyramid at Saqqara. It is the invention of the building with stone. Everybody is claiming this. Everybody is claiming, look, the first pyramid at Saqqara, the step pyramid, is the invention of building with stones. Before that date, the Egyptians were building their monuments with clay bricks. I just say, as I used to study innovations, that the invention was using the same molds as making a clay brick, and they put a stone paste in the mold, and they manufactured their first stone brick. And this is how Imhotep invented the system. And you see, the step pyramid at Saqqara is made out of small stones weighing maximum 60 kilograms, that is easily carried by two men. And from that date, the dimensions of the stones have improved in dimension, because they discovered that the material was good, it was not cracking, and so on and so forth. And we see from the pyramid of Saqqara, until Sneferu, we see an increase of the stones. The stones are manufactured on the site and brought on the pyramid, so they are moved. They are not big, but they are becoming bigger and bigger. And the bent pyramid in Dashur, the one built by Sneferu, is in fact the last one that is using this system. The stones are becoming too heavy to be continuously moved. And the next one, the red one, the big one from Sneferu, is made out of block of very, very rough concrete. The shells are huge. These are oysters that are in the system. You understand?
Really? Wow.
Really, really, really a bad material. It is, when you look at the west side of this pyramid, it is totally eroded. It is a bad material. And from then on, jumped to the Giza. So it was an improvement, and then the catastrophe came on during Mykonos and after. It has been a dramatic catastrophe going on because of the using of this technology. For me, we are witnessing an ecological disaster. And explain that afterwards, the technology was no longer used, that afterwards we have tiny pyramids that are small, 20 meters, 30 meters, 50 meters high. They are small heap of natural stone. Yes, but I was to mention first that the development of the technology happened within 60 years. It was a very, very fast development between the first pyramid after the death of Djoser to the Cheops pyramid is no more than 60 years. Do you understand?
Yep.
It is a time where the Egyptian society was in favor of the innovation, and when the society is in favor of an innovation, development is very fast. Always.
Yeah.
and something happened because of the chemistry. Over exploitation of materials that were vital to agriculture. I explain. When you look at the evolution of the volumes of the material that have been used since the invention, since Djoser, the first pyramid, you see increase and increase and increase and increase to Cheops, and then Chifren is practically the same volumes, and then dramatic drop to Mykerinos. Mykerinos is only 7% volume of the Cheops pyramid. It is very tiny. That means it needs only 7% material in comparison to Cheops. Mykerinos, if we take the length of the pharaoh's life, lived also 20 years, and he built a tiny pyramid, and then afterwards, small, and totally different technique. Totally, this is crude. This is made out of. This is a heap of stone, a heap of material that had been gathered, taken from the direct vicinity of the pyramid. And these are made of irregular stone, nothing stable, and so forth and so forth. What happened? When I explained the chemistry, I told you that we were taking natural limestone, easily disaggregated, that represent 95%, to which that contained clay, or to which clay was added, and then the natron, the salt, sodium carbonate, and then lime. That results from the calcination of limestone. This is lime, slaked lime. For the people who understand chemistry, this is calcium hydroxide, CaOH2, and so it has to be manufactured. Either we have two ways. Either you take limestone, like it is done today to manufacture lime, slaked lime, that is used in the building industry. So you calcine it with wood at 800 degrees C, and you get quicklime that afterwards is hydrated. The second method is the one that was also used by our medieval ancestor in Europe, is to use the ashes of wood. The ashes of wood, the ashes of oak, the ashes of hard trees. When they burn, the ashes contains calcium in the ashes, up to 50 to 70% by weight of calcium oxide. And this is the lime, what I call in my book the lime ash. Right. That for me was used in other system. And why I'm using this one? Because we did not find any remains of kilns, industrial kilns, dedicated to the manufacture of the lime. The calculation that we made for Cheops involves the fabrications of 150,000 tons of lime. Wow. Which means this is a factory. This is a regular plant, modern plant, and we don't have any remains. On the other side, we know that they burned wood, that they burned acacias, and that they burned palm trees. So acacia trees and palm trees are the trees that are very often found there, are available on the site, and these are the woods that have been used to make ashes, and better than that, to make embers. And this is related to something unique. The Egyptians had a very special way in baking their bread. On the pyramid site, Zaya Hawass and Mark Lehner have discovered the village of the artisans, the village of the workers, where they lived, where these people were living, those who built the pyramids. And they found bakeries. They found bakeries And we know from these peccary, and we know also from the frescoes that to make their bread, they put the dough in a ceramic vase, and this ceramic vase was surrounded with red embers. They cooked it in ashes, in very hot ashes, in very red ashes. That means not over an open flame as it is done today.
Right.
And this has been the way the Egyptians has make back their bread 1,000 years long.
And this was they got two flies with one stone, so to speak, here, because they got the ash obviously from the trees, and also at the same time they could make the bread, right?
Yes, and Hazayawas and Mark Lehner are claiming that they used great quantities of wood. They have great quantities of ashes. They are claiming this in order to demonstrate that they used these wood. They used them in order to make copper tools. You understand? They need also the energy. We don't need it. We just need to make the bread and to collect the ashes, and the ashes are there. So now, imagine the following scenario. You take the palm trees, cut them down, and burn them in order to get the ash. Well, in Egypt, palm trees are also there in order to provide shadow to agriculture.
Yeah.
When you go to the palm trees, you'll go there, you see underneath agriculture is providing 2 or 3 outcrops per year. It is a wonderful place to let grow, to let any food grow, provided it is not burned by the sun.
Correct.
And the palm trees are providing the sun. They are providing dates also, but it is the main function is the sun. So now you cut the trees for making the ashes. And of course, these Egyptians were not foolish. They plant new trees, and in order to get the process going further.
Yeah.
But the problem, as we see in the development, the quantities were always higher and higher, so that then nature capable of providing. They had a lot of new palm trees, but they were too small in order to be used as a place for agriculture. A palm tree is a good providing of shadow, but it needs 60 years to grow to that height in order to provide, to be used and to be used as an agricultural place. So it became for me, very clear that they overexploited the palm trees, and they got an ecological disaster with famines. And we have, just after the pyramid, and just after the big pyramid at Giza, we have frescoes, bas-relief, that are depicting famine. People that are really starving are on these frescoes. So something happened. Egyptologists are claiming, well, this had been because of climate change. Maybe yes, but for sure for me, it was the result of the overexploitation of this system. And they discovered and decided no longer to use it at that scale because it was for their people.
This episode is brought to you by State Farm. You know those friends who support your preference for podcasts over music on road trips? That's the energy State Farm brings to insurance. With over 19,000 local agents, they help you find the coverage that fits your needs, so you can spend less time worrying about insurance and more time enjoying the ride. Download the State Farm app or go online at statefarm.com. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
I get so many headaches every month.
It could be chronic migraine, 15 or more headache days a month, each lasting 4 hours or more. Botox, onabotulinum toxin A, prevents headaches in adults with chronic migraine. It's not for those who have 14 or fewer headache days a month. Prescription Botox is injected by your doctor. Effects of Botox may spread hours to weeks after injection, causing serious symptoms. Alert your doctor right away, as difficulty swallowing, speaking, breathing, eye problems, or muscle weakness can be signs of a life-threatening condition. Patients with these conditions before injection are at highest risk. Side effects may include allergic reactions, neck and injection site pain, fatigue, and headache. Allergic reactions can include rash, welts, asthma symptoms, and dizziness. Don't receive Botox if there's a skin infection. Tell your doctor your medical history, muscle or nerve conditions, including ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease, myasthenia gravis, or Lambert-Eaton syndrome, and medications, including botulinum toxins, as these may increase the risk of serious side effects.
Why wait? Ask your doctor. Visit BotoxChronicMigraine.com or call 1-800-44-BOTOX to learn more.
Yeah. Wow, that's really interesting, Joseph, and it makes obviously obvious sense as well. Depleting the trees, their resources, basically. Could this also be the beginning of the desertification that has happened in Egypt consequently?
Yes, of course. This is connected.
Yeah.
This is connected with that. And you imagine that this has been the real reason for the change of the dynasties, for the change of everything.
Yeah.
Yes, but before that, I want to also to remind you of our main website of the Geopolymer Institute, where you find a lot of information, especially about the technology. This is Geopolymer, GEPOLYMER.org, and this is where you learn about the chemistry, you learn about the technologies, modern science, and there is a very special place for archaeology, of course. The other books are dealing with the continuation of this study of the pyramids. As I told you, the technology, the knowledge was there. It was continuously used at different scales, essentially for religious applications and for the making of very small artifacts. For example, we have in Paris, in the Louvre Museum, a stele that has been engraved 2000 BC, and that described the sculptor Hutchison, and he claims that I know the secrets of making fluid stone to make statues and so and so. So, and we follow these the evolutions until the birth of the second greatest Egyptian scientist, that is Amenophis, son of Hapu. So you have two great scientists, Imhotep, the inventor of the building of stone, and Amenophis, son of Hapu, who was the reinventor of this technology, who applied it for totally different purposes, and who also happened for me to be as a scientist, as a scribe, as a philosopher, in fact, the model of the Joseph patriarch, the patriarch Joseph in the Bible. The Joseph that is arriving in Egypt and explaining the dreams of pharaohs. The Joseph is Amenophis, son of Hapu. And we discovered that we have plenty of texts that provide clues about the fact that Amenophis, son of Hapu, who lived in the 15th and 13th century BC, that just before the heretic monotheist pharaoh Akhenaton, that Amenophis, son of Hapu, is in fact the Joseph of the Bible. And we have the frescoes with a unique details and so forth. So the study, and it happens that this guy is using the knowledge that has been used previously by Imhotep to make the pyramid stones, but in fact he is reusing the knowledge that the Egyptian had previously to manufacture their stone vessels.
Mm-hmm.
And one of his big master chief is the so-called Colossus of Memnon, the Memnon Colossus. These are huge statues, monolithic statues that are made out of quartzite, the super hard stone, 20 meters high, 1,500 tons, impossible to carve, impossible to sculpt.
Yeah.
And in fact, he has written how he made it. And this is the one of the proofs of the use of this knowledge. And the use of this knowledge is in fact connected with what we find in the Ancient Testament, in the Bible, as always when we read about technology. In the Bible, the technology used to make artifact out of stones is this technology, the technology of making artificial stone. I wrote all these books in French. I started in 2004. It's now my third. You'll find also in my website a small description in English. And the latest one is The Lost Fresco and the Bible. So sorry, the books are not available in English so far.
The right window treatments change everything. Your sleep, your privacy, the way every room looks and feels. At Blinds.com, we've spent 30 years making it surprisingly simple to get exactly what your home needs. We've covered over 25 million windows and have 50,000 five-star reviews to prove we deliver. Whether you DIY it or want a pro to handle everything from measure to install, we have you covered. Real design professionals, free samples, zero pressure. Right now, get up to 50% off with minimum purchase, plus get a free professional measure at Blinds.com. Rules and restrictions apply.